Welcome back to our series of interviews on the speech of Reza Pahlavi during the Nationalism Conservative conference in Washington, D.C., where he delivered a speech with several interesting topics. So last time, Mr. Sajedi, we were focusing on the risks that Reza Pahlavi mentioned that are radiating by the unholy alliance of people in Iran called the black and the red, like the Islamist and the leftist, which he claims are the risks for the whole world now, as he has experienced it 45 years ago for Iran. Today, let's focus on another part of this speech where he mentions the situation in Afghanistan, where the American administration did not follow the wish of 70% of Afghan people who wished to have a unification figure for the country, which was Zahir Shah, and they imposed a model and a government by themselves, which fairly went quite wrong. So he criticizes that. Why do you think he does that?
Hello, Mr. Gabel, and thank you for giving me the chance once again to express my opinion. Yes, I think that this passage of the speech of Prince Reza Pahlavi contains and delivers the core message of his speech. Because he shows us a fact, or he refers to a fact which has happened 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and it goes about a devastating mistake that was made by the United States by its destruction intervention in establishing of a government and a state in Afghanistan. First of all, I have to give you a small and brief information about these events then, and then I can compare with the situation of Iran and make our conclusion.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sorry?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, yes, thank you. In December 2001, after the Operation Enduring Freedom, when the Taliban government were overthrown, the Germany city of Bonn hosted a conference widely known as the Bonn Conference. To choose the leaders and the leaders and the form of the government in Afghanistan, but first the agenda was to make an interim authority in Afghanistan and establishing a political agreement to shape an temporary government. According to the former Iranian minister, Mr. Javad Zarif, in an interview with an media inside of Iran, he has acknowledged that first, the global consensus was on the return of the monarchy, Mohammad Zahir Shah, the last legal ruler of the last legal king and ruler of Afghanistan, which I now explain about that. But with the efforts of Iran, I mean that with the efforts of the Iranian regime, they could prevent to establish this the monarchy. They could prevent to coming back they could prevent it to establish a monarchy in Afghanistan.
So what you say, let me repeat that. It's an important point. You say that Mr. Zarif claims the regime in Iran prevented this step?
Yes, door hidden negotiation with, or door hidden deal, let me say, with the United States. Prince Reza Pahlavi that few times says that we don't ask your intervention, we don't ask your permission, we don't ask your destructive intervention. He means this, that, and he says that he means just your friendship and your acknowledgement of the Iranian people to choose their own their government. I think that he goes about this historical fact. I have to point out that that Mohammad Zahir Shah was the legal last king of the Afghanistan during 1933 till 1973 for I think 40 years. And his reign was marked by the relatively stability and modernization efforts. During his reign, Zahir Shah pursued a policy of gradual modernization. He focused on education, infrastructure development, and economic reform. In the 1960s, even he introduced a new constitution aimed to make Afghanistan a constitutional monarchy with a parliamentary system. Zahir Shah era, actually, we can see that was the Zahir Shah era was an introduction of democratic reforms, including the establishment of a bicameral legislature and granting more political freedoms. However, the country remained largely traditional, and reforms had limited reach in the rural areas, because it's very important that this very important fact was neglected by the United States, that the structure of the society in Afghanistan mostly, maybe we can say more than 90%, is made based on tribal relations and not citizen relations. It's very important. As an example, I can say that in 1973, while the Zahir Shah was in Italy for a medical treatment, his cousin, who was also an prime minister in the Afghanistan, he staged a bloodless coup and captured the country. Mohammad Zahir Shah didn't go back to Afghanistan and choose a life in exile in Italy. Later, he came back in Afghanistan in 2002 after the fall of the Taliban. And actually, he was became a honorary title of the father of the nation in Afghanistan. It means that mostly for the Afghan people, for the Afghanistan people, mostly he was accepted, and he was an nostalgic sign of the good days of Afghanistan. But unfortunately, the destructive intervention of regime of Iran prevented to establish a local government, a local compatible government, because democracy cannot be exported, never. Democracy can be established by the people by itself, but cannot be exported. As a result, we can see that the Republic of Afghanistan, which was established later by the Mr. Hamid Karzai, is accused to full corruption. So that the United States, after 20 years, left the country without any change, without any infrastructural change, and now we see that the country is in the disaster as before, and nothing is changing in Afghanistan.
Perfect. So I think you made the point very clear about Afghanistan, what happened there. And now let's get back to the initial question. Why is this important to Reza Pahlavi? Why does he mention it concerning Iran?
Yes, Reza Pahlavi, born in 1960, is the eldest son of the Shah of the late king of Shah of Iran, and he is a crown prince of the legal throne. He is a crown prince of the throne. Reza Pahlavi was educated in Iran for the 17 years and then he left the country. I have to say that the constitution, I mean that the revolution, the Iranian revolution, constitutional revolution in 1905, about 120 years ago, was very significant revolution. It was very important, which divided the history of Iran into eras, new era and old era. And new era, the new history of Iran begins with the constitutional revolution. And then we have a constitution made with secularism. Reza Pahlavi advocates for a secular democratic government, which is explained and guaranteed in the constitutional revolution. The point is that when after somebody says revolution, somebody other says chaos or anarchy, which was happened in 1979, there is no procedure of nullifying of the old constitution exercised.
So what exactly happened?
Nullifying.
Khomeini
I mean
came.
that the constitution was never cancelled.
So Khomeini came. He just put his own constitution on top of everything, and he
Yes.
didn't nullify what was before.
Yes, because anyhow, the former constitution, I mean that from their point of view, but from my point of view, is the current constitution was and is still valid till it can be changed or nullified by constituent assembly. It has predicted in this, it has provided some mechanism inside of the constitution by itself that if some, like every constitution, that if some articles or some principles should be changed or hold the constitution should be has to be changed, then the constituent assembly is needed. And that they will be the agents, they will be the representative of all the people, of the Iranian citizens. And before that, I mean that during the 52 years of the monarchy of Pahlavi, few times the constituent assembly was attended, and they changed some of articles, or they added, or they amended, or make amendments on the constitution. Anyhow, the constitution is an legal act. And legal act, and you know that the legal points, the legal priorities always superior to political priorities. And the constitution of Iran has never been nullified, has never been cancelled. That's why it still is valid. And according to this constitution, Mr. Reza Pahlavi is the legal king of Iran. He has sworn in Egypt in 1980 after death of the late king. So practically, he is a king of Iran. Just he has to swear in National Assembly to officially also can be addressed the king, but that we wait to the that sometime we come back to Iran, because the National Assembly should be an assembly of the all representative of the all Iranian peoples. At this time, it's practically impossible.
Yes, I see. So now you explained about Reza Pahlavi and his current role, legal role, and why it is not possible for him to go back to Iran. It is clear. So why does he mention this episode of Afghan history? How is it related to his own image of the future of Iran? What do you think? What is his image of how to continue to build a new Iran after the fall of this brutal regime?
Yes, usually the superpowers and the international powers, they have to respect the will of the peoples, of the citizens. This is the right of determination. You know this right. I think everybody knows this right. The right of determination is an substantial and fundamental right. But it's very important that now I am point out this right is already exercised by the Iranian people 120 years ago. And we have already made a constitution, and we have made already its articles and its amendments and its mechanism. In this constitution, the king can have a reign but not rule. It's very important for both internal and external relations. From internal point of view, we know that we will have a king, a symbol of unity, but his power is limited, and the other players, the other parties, the other ideas, even the opposite ideas, they have sufficient space and sufficient time to expose their programs and their ideas for the people, and eventually they can choose for the future I mean that the future government of Iran. But why we have to have a referendum, why the United States has to have negotiation with other parties beside Prince Reza Pahlavi, because Prince Reza Pahlavi is now the legal king of Iran, and he is the symbol of the unity of the people, and he represents all Iranian citizens. If they are against him or they are not against him, like any other monarchy in Europe, in Belgium, for example, there are here also socialist parties, communist parties. There are too many people that they are against the monarchy. They advertise for against the monarchy, but they have also security, and they are safe, and they are also Belgian, so they are citizens of the king, opposite or not opposite. So about the Iranian monarchy is the same. Monarchy in Iran should be a reign and not should be ruling government. The government should be formed and should be shaped by the parties, by the ideas, by the people, by self, by the figures, by the political players and gamers, not by the king. The king will just be a symbol as father of the nation, just keeping the unity of and the integrity and the values, the cultural and political values. But I think that Mr. Reza Pahlavi sees that this very primitive principle is not respected by the United States and the governments, and they try to make once again a devastating mistake to give credits to the people who don't believe to Iranian integrity or to Iran by itself. That just they have to take their fish from this sea, and they have no sympathy about the Iranian people or Iran by itself. If they saw, if somebody really believed to Iran, they have to know that we have already a constitution which is not yet nullified.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sajedi. You really hit the nail. I think it is very clear. You precised very much what Mr. Reza Pahlavi mentioned in his speech. And I think by saying that this model can include everyone, there should be no fears that Mr. Pahlavi will be a monarch who will reign without any parliament.
Thank you very much for your time once again.